Excuse me, you wanna buy some matches?
Hey guys, and welcome to my first One Piece related video. Today I want to talk about every cover story in One Piece. For the anime only watchers, the cover stories, just like the name suggests, are mini stories told across multiple chapters. Each one appears on the first page of a chapter, usually as a single panel with no speech bubbles, just a narration caption below. And yes, these cover stories are all canon. For example, if you open chapter 272, you'll see the title and then a panel starting Ace's cover story. After that, the actual chapter begins. Sometimes a chapter skips the cover story because Oda draws a color spread, for example. But don't worry, the story usually continues in the next chapter. So in this video, I'll go through all 26 cover stories, give you a bit of context for when they happened at the timeline, and talk about whether they ended up being important later on. So without any further ado, let's start with...
Let's see. First Son of the Sea Jinbei teams up with Straw Hat. Dark King Rayleigh joins them. Rayleigh? Ah!
For sure, we start this with the GOAT and in my head, the next Pirate King, Buggy D. Clown. His Crew Adventure Chronicles start in chapter 35 and end with chapter 75, and actually got an adaptation in the anime. Chapter 35 came out in 1998. That's crazy. This story takes place after the events in Orangetown, where Buggy's crew is defeated and before Locktown, when Buggy returns. The first page is Buggy only having his hands and feet, trying to escape on a raft. He then tries to trap a giant bird, gets eaten, and is spat out because he tastes bad. He then lands on the island of rare animals, where he fights, but then befriends Gaimon. After leaving the island, he got attacked by a giant crab, but saved by a female pirate who later in Locktown turns out to be Alvida. They team up since they share a common enemy, Luffy. The Buggy pirates, thinking Buggy is dead, hold a funeral for him with the body parts he lost. To decide the next captain, Moji and Kabaji duel, but the fight lasts 12 hours with no clear winner. However, Richie the Lion has a dream about himself becoming captain, defeats Moji and Kabaji while sleepwalking, and becomes the next captain of the Buggy Pirates. Now called the Richie Pirates, they get instantly defeated by the natives on the island. Later, Buggy and Alvida spot their ship and find Moji and Kabaji still unconscious. The rest of the crew is about to get cooked. Literally. But Buggy's body parts start attacking on their own. Buggy, Alvida, Kabaji and Moji fight off the natives with ease. The final panel ends with the iconic "Oh Captain, my Captain" quote, as the Buggy Pirates are reunited and ready for their next adventure. A really funny and good first cover page story.
It hasn't been long, but it seems like you've grown up.
Actually, people tell me that all the time.
The second cover story is called The Diary of Kobe and Meppo. It starts with Kobe being focused and determined, while Helmeppo is sloppy and literally caught smoking on the job. The story begins in chapter 83, spans 30 chapters, and ends in chapter 119. It also got an anime adaptation. Timeline-wise, this one takes place after Roman's Dawn. Once the two joined the Marine, and just before Django's story, which, spoilers, comes next. We follow them doing janitor's work, Kobe always being ambitious and happy, while Helmeppo is doing the minimum and still hating Luffy. Their ship is transferring Morgan. Helmeppo is crying, hoping his father doesn't receive the death penalty. While doing chores, a ship is coming near them, which turns out to be Garp, and the secret ruler of the Marines, the GOAT Bogar. damn, he's so cool. Morgan is actually able to attack Garp, and Bogart is so ready, like look at him. Morgan takes Helmeppo hostage and escapes with him on a small boat. The Marines are ready to fire. This would easily kill Helmeppo, but Kobe stops them by firing guns, being terrified and desperate. Again, the goat Bogart intervenes and cuts Kobe's guns into pieces. Garp steps in, claiming he'd been asleep when Morgan slashed him, being a nice Easter egg to Luffy and Ace as well, randomly falling asleep. Meanwhile, on Morgan's escape vessel, Helmeppo finally makes a decision and abandons his father. He swims back to the Marine ship, where he, Kobe, and the other Marines apologize to Garp and call themselves worthless. Garp decides he takes them with him, and their course is set to the headquarters. During this time, they do course as well, but having Helmeppo locked in now and training with Kobe at night together. The story ends with a powerful panel. Garp smiling while Kobe and Helmeppo train under the watchful eye of Bogart. Another really cool cover story, which ended in the year 2000 by the way.
Alright, are you ready? 1, 2, Jungle!
As I already mentioned, the next story is Django's Dance Paradise, which starts with chapter 126, has 37 chapters, and ends with chapter 172. It also got adapted, in a way, in the second One Piece movie, Clockwork Island Adventure, and is set between Baratier and Alabasta. Django wakes up after being knocked out by the Usopp pirates and runs back to the Black Cat pirate ship, only to find it sailing away. Django then heads into Syrup Village to eat something, only to be spotted and chased out of town by the Usopp pirates. Django quickly sails away from the island and, while sailing, happens to pass a recently escaped Morgan. Kaya is alright by the way, and works as a doctor's apprentice. Django lands on Mirror Ball Island and learns he now has a bounty of 9 million berry. He needs a disguise, and he actually has heart-shaped eyes. Why? That's actually so rare, but back then Oda just wanted to have fun, I guess. Now being in disguise, he accidentally enters a dance contest, wins, and celebrates with his contestant from the finale. The Marine finds Django's old clothes, but don't recognize him. The island got attacked by the Tulip Pirates. Django uses that to escape. His contestant is being revealed as Full Body, who we know from the Baratier, and easily attacks the pirates. Meanwhile, Django says goodbye, being on a small boat. The Tulip Pirates are taking a girl hostage, and by that defeat Full Body. Django comes back and helps Full Body. They defeat the pirates and dance together. With the caption, Friendship, Crime and Duty, Full Body arrests Django. At the Marine headquarters, Django is sentenced to hanging, but Full Body enters with his men and start dancing. One by one, everyone starts dancing, even the judges. And somehow, Django is acquitted, but Full Body gets demoted for that stunt. Django wants to leave and says they cannot be friends. He even wants to hypnotize him, so Full Body forgets him. But in the last moment, Django spots Hina, who is so hot that he joins the Marines. Django and Full Body both join Hina's division and dance with the crew, while Kobe, Helmeppo and Garp are passing through. Again, a really funny cover story. What I really like about those early cover stories, that they are so well connected, like when Django and Morgan pass by, or when Garp etc. are there at the last page.
Let's just ask him and get this over with already. Hey, you! So how's Arlong doing these days?
Huh? Oh, not so good, actually.
We now have Hachan's Seafloor Stroll, which has 40 chapters from 182 to 228 and ends in the year 2002. This story is set between Arlong Park and Sabaody. It starts with Hachi escaping from a marine ship after being captured at Arlong Park. After helping a panda shark underwater and receiving some meat, This sets off a series of trails, until he saves a sea boar from being eaten with a trident he got. The sea boar spits out two familiar faces, Kami and Papak, who have their very first appearance through the cover story. The Marco pirates appear, who once were a part of the Sun pirates like Hachi, and he trades Kami and Papak for a map to a legendary takoyaki recipe. With that, he hopes to propose to a fish lady he has a crush on. Following the map, it ends where the great octopus mash lies, but no trace of the takoyaki. Hachi is furious and attacks the Marco pirates, who wanted to sell Kami. Turns out the treasure was inside the great octopus all along. Meanwhile, near the octopus lady, a sinking ship crashes into a nearby village of headband-wearing catfish, destroying their homes. Hachi appears, but escapes with the treasures, only to turn them into ingredients and save the village. He finally opens his takoyaki stand and has hopes for marriage. But turns out she's just there for the tasty takoyaki and punches Hachi. Still, he remembers his dream of running a takoyaki stand, and the grateful catfish villagers build him a ship, officially launching Takoyaki 8, his floating restaurant. This is actually one of the longest cover page stories, and to be honest, didn't give me that much content. However, it's nice to see the origins of Kami and Papak.
A local scientist uncovered the secret of my dolls. Apparently, I made a new alloy, Wapo metal!
Now coming to the shortest cover page story, that being Warpol's Omnivorous Hurrah. I couldn't care less, but here we go. 23 chapters only from 236 to 262, and came out in the year 2003. But what really hit me was the anime adaptation that came out with episode 778. That was in 2017 with the Reverie. That's crazy. It is set between the Drum Island arc and the time skip. During my research, I came across different titles for the story, that being Warpol's Omnivorous Rampage and Warpol's Eating Banzai. Just for transparency. But now, let's dive into it. After being propelled to an unknown island, thanks to Luffy, Warpol eats his way through, becoming a tree, or a lamp, or a bench? You do you. After eating through the town, he gets arrested, for sure, but runs away. Meanwhile, back on Drum Island, now renamed Sakura Kingdom, Dalton has become king. After fleeing from the Marines, Warpol is officially homeless and lives under a bridge, selling matches and eating garbage, when apparently he creates a toy out of it. The next day, the local kids are deeply attracted by the new toys, and Warpol makes a living by selling those. He opens his first toy shop under the bridge and gains wide popularity. A scientist finds out what secret lies in his toys. It is a new metal, the so-called Warpol steel, that brings him way more income, and Warpol can extend his toy shop, which leads to a factory and the creation of the Warpol Corporation. Fun fact, Frankie uses Warpol metal as well, for example for his Battle Frankie models. Warpol then marries Cinderella or Miss Universe and finally gains his status back. This cover story is actually super important in hindsight. It shows how Warpol returns to power and sets up his role during the Reverie arc. It's a full-on comeback story, told entirely in the background, while Oda focuses on the main cast. And that's why these cover stories are so cool. They give side characters full arcs without interrupting the main storyline.
Luffy, leave it to me, I'll handle him.
He's going all by himself?
I wouldn't worry about him if I were you. They don't let just anyone become the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates.
From someone rather unimportant, coming to one of the most favorite characters of all time. Ace's great search for Blackbeard, which ran from chapter 272 to 305, totaling 29 chapters, published between 2003 and 2004. The story is set sometime between Jaya and post-Enies Lobby, before Ace catches up with Blackbeard on Banaro Island. The story starts with Ace running away from a restaurant after not paying for food and asking people about Blackbeard. There actually happens to be a man called like that, so he kicks the so-called Dr. Blackbeard, who for sure turns out not to be the Blackbeard. For that, he got thrown into the river but saved by the child Moda, who lives at the dairy farm. She wants him to deliver a letter in exchange for saving his life. For sure he accepts and sets sail for the Navy base G2. He knocks out a soldier, disguises himself, and happily eats at the all-you-can-eat buffet. After a soldier trash talks about Whitebeard, he had to interfere. For sure blowing his cover, so he needs a new one. The intruder commander Ace is now sitting in military court and the cafe is awful bitter. Even the Vice Admiral Camille hates it. A top secret Navy ship returns but gets set on fire by some pirates. Ace still drinks the bitter coffee. The Marines are really worried about the top secret information on the ship, but a lone soldier jumps into the burning ship. For sure it was Ace saving a Marine in the information. By that he reveals himself because of his immunity to fire. Before running away, he delivers a letter to the Vice Admiral, while being shot at without an effect. Camille opens Moda's letter. She's just asking if the Marines want to buy her milk. Ace escapes with the information about Blackbeard that he needed. A Navy ship visits Moda's island to buy milk from her. The cooks from the ship turn out to be her parents, who are really happy to see her. I guess they are constantly sailing with the Marines. The last 2 pages show the War Council now being happy to have tasty coffee, and Ace preparing himself for Blackbeard. I really like this cover story because for sure we see Ace, but it's a pretty cool story of him infiltrating a Navy base and having a sweet side plot. Although it was never animated, a reference to the arc can briefly be seen in a newspaper read by Crocus in episode 381, which shows Moda with her family and Vice Admiral Camille drinking milk. By the way, there are 2 volumes dedicated to Ace's backstory, called One Piece Episode A, which I can really recommend to you guys. The story is from Oda, but drawn by Boichi, which has a really refreshing art style.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
Next, we have a pretty random cover story, that being Gedatsu's Accidental Blue Sea Life. It went from chapter 314 to 348 and has 32 chapters. It got no anime adaptation and is about Gedatsu. If you don't remember who that is, he has been defeated by Chopper during the Skypiea arc and now falls from the sky on an island which is full of holes. He meets Goro, whose dream is a hot spring island. Gedatsu declares to become the boss of the Blue Sea, and together they dig holes. Goro is teaching him life as a hole digger, until they meet a giant mole with digging gear who got knocked out and tamed by Gedatsu. With the mole's help, they dig deep down until they finally hit the hot spring. An ape-like figure appears who as well got hit by Gedatsu and as well is part of the team now, but remains on the island while the other 3 dig more. They unexpectedly arrive on Alabasta, where they meet Koza from the rebellion, who happens to be Goro's nephew, therefore Toto being his brother. Toto was the one digging for water during the Alabasta arc. They all travel back to the whole island, and Karoo randomly appears as well. The whole island now has a huge spa. They officially build a tunnel connecting Alabasta and Hot Spring Island, having Hasami or Pincers the Crab working as a living bus between the islands. Vivi and her entourage pay a visit, and we see the men's and women's bath, for sure, ending with Gedatsu as boss of Hot Spring Island. It's such a weird story, but it actually does solid world building. Characters get real goals, minor arcs get continued, and even comedic throwaways like Gidatsu end up doing something meaningful in the world of One Piece. We now have one of my favorite cover stories, which again didn't make it in the anime because, a short rant here, why not? The One Piece anime always has some fillers, which yeah is reasonable, but sometimes have whole filler arcs, while there are actual stories drawn by Oda himself that haven't been animated yet. I really don't understand why they pretend like these stories don't exist, even though they are sometimes actually important for the future story. Never mind. Miss Golden Week's Operation, Meet Baroque Works, has 43 chapters and is the longest cover story during pre-timeskip. It ran from chapter 359 to 413, which ended in 2006, and is set between Alabasta and Impel Down. We start with Miss Golden Week, who gets a newspaper. She, Mr. Five, and Miss Valentine learn from the newspaper about the collapse of Baroque Works and see the other comrades' faces for the first time, without their disguises. She decides to rescue them. She uses one of her color traps on a dinosaur, thus making it friendly towards her, and escaping Little Garden, leaving Dory and Broggy, who still fight each other. By the way, did you know that Marianne's color abilities are no devil fruit power, but some sort of hypnosis? I didn't know that, but Oda explicitly said so in an interview. The ink of the dinosaur washes off in the rain, and he drops the three on Vacation Island, where we meet Hina, Django and Full Body again. I love how these little stories are connected. Meanwhile, we get a glimpse of Bon Clay, who escaped and now has a 32 million berry bounty. Our trio tried disguises, but Hina recognizes them with ease. She attacks them, but Mr. Five and Marianne escape, leaving Miss Valentine behind. On a blackboard we can find a picture of Mr. 3 as well. Seems like he's out there as well. And we see him on the next cover page, but the moment he tried to escape, he has been attacked by Bon Clay. Next we see Mr. 3 on a trolley by the Marines, who yells for help, but for sure turns out to be Bon Clay, who attacks them. During that fight, Miss Valentine got rescued and they hijack a Navy ship. They sail to the Navy prison and pretend to be captured to infiltrate the prison, where they meet everyone from Baroque Works to have a reunion. They actually manage to escape, but Sir Crocodile refuses to go. He is just not in the mood. Marianne uses a rainbow color trap that shows everyone's dreams. She for sure wants to become a real artist. Miss Merry Christmas is a princess, and Miss Doublefinger's dream is to remain as Paula, the cafe owner. Miss Valentine wants to become a chocolatier, Mr. 5 a fireman, Mr. 4 a pizza delivery man, and Lasso a tank. Des Bones is a hero, and Sir Crocodile's dream, for sure, is to become the king of the pirates. We cut to a deserted house in a certain wasteland, which might or might not be Alabasta, and they open a new Spider's Cafe, completely in peace now. The cover story ends with Mr. 0, 1, 2 and 3 in the same cell and being sent to Impel Down. I really love this one because it ties together so many stories. It connects to Hina, Django and Full Body, which connects back to Kobe and Helmeppo. And all of that feels like this living, breathing world full of recurring characters with their own arcs. Also, this story gives us the full picture of how all these characters ended up in Impel Down. So it's not just like, okay, Crocodile's back. Short intermission here. There are two cover stories which are no real cover stories, more like little snapshots which during the time skip were all put together into the From the Decks of the World series. But before that, there are these two. So in this one we are on Skypia, where Conus, Isa, Raki and Nola the giant snake are going for a walk. Viper and Ashandia are restoring the forest and Gunfall is hanging out with the Shandia chef, who we will see later. After that miniseries, we jump to
It's time. And soon, I will return.
Oh boy, this cover story is maybe one of the most talked about Coverpage story. It has 38 chapters from 428 to 474 and still has no adaptation. It's 18 years old now and people still theorize about it and its main protagonist. The protagonist? None other than Enel, the self-proclaimed god of Skypia with his great space operations being set after Skypia for sure. The story begins with Enel riding his Ark Maxime to the moon, which he believes to be the very worth of legend. After landing, he takes in the sights and explores his new home. He enters a crater and finds an unconscious soldier, who he cruelly attacks with the narrator saying, "Shoot first, ask questions later." The little soldier stands up and has no visible wounds. He identifies himself as Lieutenant Spacey, who finds the old battlefield and weeps over his comrades, who all have different weapons. Behind Enel, a space pirate appears and kills Spacey. For the record, space pirates do exist. One Piece Moon Arc incoming? The pirate attacks Enel, but he's invincible due to his Logia powers and defeats him. In the near distance, he sees an explosion. It turns out that the explosion was caused by the rest of the space pirates who are excavating the moon in order to locate and plunder its long lost ruins. But then they see a glowing individual atop of their spacecraft and prepare to fight. We get a flashback in a cover story. It's from the day Spacey was born, more like created, because he's a robot. We are on Karakuri Island with Dr. Tsukimi, a moon-gazing connoisseur. That's, by the way, the same island where Dr. Vegapunk was born and Frankie was during the time skip. While gazing, they witness an explosion on the moon, whereupon he died because he choked on a dumpling? Kuina-like death, bro. Heartbroken, his robot children tie balloons to themselves and fly to the moon to investigate. They arrive and confront the space pirates, but are easily defeated. That is until Enel arrives and obliterates them, saving the robots. They are so grateful for Enel avenging the Doctor's death, but once again he attacks them without any second thought. He enters a great cave where he finds a farm and a huge underground city. Again, he attacks first and asks questions later. With his devil fruit, he powers the city, which also has small robots. The native robots and the new ones both are thanking Enel for powering. And I love his face here. After that, we get one of the most theorized panels of all time. An education in paintings. The ancient Moonanites with wings. As well as the next one. The Moon City Burka. They fled to the blue planet in search of resources. There are plenty of videos out there. This video has no room for that. So we end this pretty damn interesting cover story with Enel and his loyal servants. The Eneru army stands tall. After Enel's lunar conquest, we get the other short mini cover story, which took place after the events of Water 7. First, we see Yokozuna, the sumo frog, no longer challenging the sea train. Instead, he's chilling and swimming around with Chimney and Kokoro. Iceberg, now the head of Galea Company, is interviewing potential secretaries, which we see as well on a newspaper in the anime. Meanwhile, Paulie has been promoted to vice president and is constantly being followed by two types of people, admirers and debt collectors. Lastly, we see Oimo and Kashi, the two giants from Ini's lobby. They are now setting out on a journey to return to Elbaf. Really interesting, to be honest.
The ignition device is about to detonate. We should probably hurry.
But a chance like this one is quite rare. Let me show you something interesting.
Which defeated crew from the pre-time skip is missing? Right, the CP9. Their independent report has 33 chapters, starting with 491 and ending with chapter 228 in the year 2009, and as well has no adaptation yet. It's set between post-Ennis Lobby and pre-Dressrosa. We start on an island of no survivors, where Bruno appears with the badly wounded Rob Loki from an air door. The squad is complete except for Spandam. While being wanted by the Navy, they escape on St. Poplar and try to gather money for Loki's medication. Kumadori performs a one-man show. Jabura and Bruno do a wild animal act. Kaku does a giraffe slide while Fukuru collects the money. And Khalifa cleans the town with her powers. With that money, Loki can be treated and they can go shopping. Rob Loki finally is awake and discharged from the hospital. The CP9 is completed, so they go bowling, but hear from the Candy Pirates, who cause some trouble. But not with Rob Loki, the messenger of justice. The whole gang claps the pirates and leaves, but receive a single flower by the girl who was held hostage. They set sail to their hometown and see the next generation of Cypherpole in training, but the Navy is alarmed and want to capture the CP9. Did you know that this dude's actual name is Very Good? Like, for real, his name is Very Good. The CP9 are shown only as shadows who want to defend their hometown. But, to be honest, is it their hometown or property of the world government? Never mind. Spandam, who is in the intensive care unit, receives a call. It's Rob Loki, who declares they will return one day with a panel showing the defeated captain Very Good. I still can't believe his name is Very Good. Spandam and his dad are plotting to kill the CP9 and the ship disappears into oblivion, leaving the scattered Very Good and the flower they received behind. Another really good and deep cover story, because without it, it would just have been, oh look, they are back because they didn't die. But the CP9 got hunted by their own government, but actually managed to come back and get promoted. I really like this cover story.
Poor thing!
You're the one who did this to me!
Keep at it, buddy. You'll be okay. Go, Zorro!
That's enough!
The last pre-timeskip cover page story is the Straw Hat Separation serial that got widely adapted with 8 anime episodes by only having 16 chapters being published in chapters 543 and 560 in 2009. Just for the record, officially they are considered individual cover page stories, that being 11 to 18, but I will cover them all here in this section. As the name suggests, it shows us where each crew member ended up and how they dealt with being thrown across the world, except Luffy of course. We start with Sanji, who spawns at Kamabaka Kingdom and is at first terrified, but later being called one of the girls. Robin is on the island of slaves, or Tequila Wolf, and investigates. At the end, she joins the revolutionary army. Frankie finds himself with free roaming cyborg animals, and later the house Dr. Vegapunk was born. He's on Karakuri Island. Usopp is on the Bourne Archipelago, which he or the narrator calls a forest of gluttony, resulting in Fat Usopp. Chopper has been hunted on Torino Kingdom because they want to make him into raccoon stew just before a gigantic bird attacks the natives. Nami ends up on Weatheria, a floating island in the sky, where scientists study weather phenomena. There she learns how to manipulate the weather. Brook lands on Namakura Island, where a woman is being kidnapped by the Long Arm tribe. He tries to help, but quickly realizes the villagers won't fight back, so instead he starts composing. The last story for sure is for Zoro, who lands on Kuregana Island, where he meets Perona and a mysterious shadow. I just want to say again, that's all about their stories. Anything that you might remember from the anime episodes might be filler, but I don't want to talk about those differences because of possible confusions and the length of the video.
PX5 fire!
Is that all?
Entering the post-time skip era, we already started with the to date longest cover page story, From the Decks of the World, which has 48 chapters from 613 to 668, which ended in 2012. The gap between the last cover story and this one also was the longest, with 53 chapters. The story can be set after the Return of Sabaody arc. It shows the whereabouts of people the Straw Hats have met during their adventure and react to their return, starting with Windmill Village and Makino having a baby. The Dardan family celebrates after learning the news. They are all wearing straw hats. In Shellstown, we see Rika, the girl who gave Zoro rice balls in chapter 3. She's now training with the Marines. There's a wanted note of Luffy on the side of the desk. Koshiro, Zoro's old master, visits Kuina's grave and updates her on Zoro's journey. In Orange Town, we see Chuchu again. He and the mayor open a new pet shop which has a giant straw hat on top. Gaimon has a girlfriend now, called Sarfunkel, which is a homage to Simon and Garfunkel, if you didn't know. So sweet. The former Usopp pirates are chilling in Syrup Village and growing older. As we already knew from Django's cover story, Kaya is a medical student now, and here she continues learning while Mary fends off potential suitors. Johnny and Yusaku are ripped and work as fishermen now in Coco Village. Zeph is reading the newspaper, while the Baratier is remodeling and expanding with 2 new ships, the desert ship Sister Monkfish and the teppanyaki ship Nasugashira. Nami's family and friends learn of the Straw Hats' return. Genzo is once again outraged by Nami's appearance. Belmare now has a stone memorial at her grave. Ippon Matsu, the one who gave the Sandai Kitetsu to Zoro in Loketown, shows his wife a cleaned up bathroom with a huge picture of Zoro on the wall. At Twin Cape, Crocus has a drink with Scopper Gaban, and Laboom still has Luffy's drawn Jolly Roger painted on his head. Mr. 9 and Miss Monday, who survived their encounter with Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, are now bounty hunters at Whiskey Peak. They also have a child. Dory and Brogy are still fighting. Same energy, same island. Nothing has changed on Little Garden. We meet Warpole and his gang again, who now has become king of the evil Black Drum Kingdom. After that, we see Dalton, who made the Lapans, those giant snow rabbits, into peacekeeping troops, and Korea opened a medical center with the now 100 doctors she has under her. From snowy to desert, Koza is now Royal Environmental Minister. Still on Alabasta, Shaka, Pell and Igaram are getting new clothes fitted for this year's revelry. Next chapter shows us Vivi, who is now 18 years old. Thanks for that info, Oda. She visits Cobra on his sickbed. The Saruyama Alliance with Mont Blanc Cricket are going on another adventure, searching for the Island of Dreams, Nakrova. The Southbird the Straw Hats had captured returned to Jaya and fell in love with a Northbird, and their children are a Westbird and an Eastbird. Skypiea opened Wagumuland, a theme park thanks to Usopp, who gave them a huge amount of rubber bands. Amazon is responsible for selling tickets. We enter Wagumuland. Nola works as a bungee ride, and Isa is the Cloud Ball girl. Konis and Raki opened a pumpkin cafe with Papaya and McKinley as customers. Viper and the Shandians serve as guardians for the goddess Skypiea, which have become good friends, sharing pumpkin juice together. Leaving Skypiea, Tonjet from Longring Longland is reading the newspaper, while his grandchildren are playing with him and his horse. We see Chimney again, who has become the Sunday station master, while Kokoro and Yokozuna are swimming and enjoying their vacation. Still Water 7, Mozo and Kiwi now own a bar, where they are telling customers about their relation to Straw Hat Frankie. Lola and the Risky Brothers are there as customers. I love how those different people are seen together, weaving this huge world together. Iceberg found his new secretary from the miniseries. It's a 10-year-old, smart-looking girl. Paulie and his foreman completed the second sea train, the Puffing Ice. Former members of the Frank family now work for the Galea and are responsible for overseeing operations outside of Water 7. Finally, we see my favorite female character again. Perona went back to Thrillerbug and found Kumashi. On Sabaody, the owner of the now bankrupt human auction house is broke and has daggers through the wanted posters of the supernovas that ruined the business. Coming to nearly our last stop, Impel Down. Hanyabal is now the warden and Domino replaced Shiryu as new head jailer. Mino Chihuahua is a new jailer beast who, by the way, is the first Devil Fruit user who is introduced in a cover story. Magellan has been demoted to a vice warden and Sadi has fallen in love with him. Bonclay is now queen of level 5.5. Ivankov reads a newspaper about the Straw Hats reunion, ending this very long cover page story with the graves of Whitebeard and Ace. A newspaper has been placed in front of Ace's grave, along with a bottle of sake and 3 serving cups, maybe foreshadowing Sawa at this point. Wow, what a long section this was. This cover story is like a victory lap around the world, showing just how big and interconnected the One Piece universe has become. Hopefully, the next one is shorter than that. Karibo's Kihihihi in the New World has 46 chapters, starting from chapter 674 and ending with 731 in 2013, having one anime episode where scenes from this miniseries are shown in a flashback after reuniting with Luffy in episode 921 of the anime. This story is set between Fishman Island and the Wano arc. We start at Fishman Island with Caribou, who once again tries to kidnap some mermaids with his devil fruit powers, but got knocked out and put in a barrel by Jinbei, who at that time still had unfinished business with Big Mom. Koribou and the crew arrive with a new ship, but Jinbei swims at fishman speed, carrying the little boat with Caribou inside, and arriving at Navy Base G5, where Smoker and Tashigi were transferred after the Marineford arc. Here, Commodore Yarisugi has many ideas what to do with Caribou. Right before burning him, his crew appears and fight for their captain, actually saving him at the last second, but Caribou escapes without his crew. Alone he sails the seas, but the ship got a lot of damage, so once again he's on a small boat stranding on a new island. He wakes up to an old woman who took care of him, but the moment she takes a nap, he instantly robs her. She still gives him a meat pie and shows him the way to the harbor. On the road, he runs into soldiers who have the same star symbol as Caribou's jacket, which he got from the old lady. They call him Captain Gaburu, but that moment the old woman appears, driving off the soldiers. Caribou continues his way to the harbor while waving goodbye to the woman, who waves goodbye back. Before getting there, Caribou decided to return to the town out of curiosity. While hiding and eating more meat pies, he finds many soldiers of the same uniform searching for him in front of a large smoking building. Using his powers, he then investigates the building and learns that it is a factory for manufacturing weapons, piquing his interest. It turns out he looks nearly identical to the revolutionary leader, being an homage to Ernesto Che Guevara. But as in our reality, the proletarian riot gets suppressed by Scott from Kaido's crew burning the flag of their revolution. Caribou returns to the old lady, who for sure turns out to be the grandma of the real Gaburu. She suddenly wakes up and begs him to just run and don't fight anyone, mistaking Caribou with her deceased grandson. Suddenly, Scorch enters the house and Caribou runs away, leaving the woman behind who stands between him and Scorch. Back at the port, he runs into his crew with a stolen Navy ship, and Koribu isn't even mad about him. He remembers what their grandma always said: brothers need to get along. Meanwhile, Scorch captures the old woman and holds her up above the defeated revolutionaries, preparing to execute her as an example to those who defy him. However, he is stunned to see a marine battleship coming up to the shore in front of him, carrying Karibu and his crew. Karibu decides to take up the deceased Gaburu's identity, with the rest of the crew acting as reinforcements, which surprises everyone. With the words, "Liberate the proletariat, liberate the old hag," Karibu and his men attack Scorch and actually manage to liberate the people with my actually new favorite panel. Take over the factory, no more workplace. Karibu, or Gaburu, is a hero now, but then a dinosaur appears? It's X-Drake who arrests Karibu and demands to crush everyone who resists. Before they can leave, the old lady hands him his last meal and everyone cries at the port. The final panels are both the woman, whose name is Baburu, crying and visiting Gaburu's grave, putting Karibu's wanted poster on it and thanking him for being as sweet as her grandson. She knew it all along. This is one of the most unexpectedly deep cover stories Oda has ever written. Somehow, Karibu, of all people, ends up in a socialist revolution, impersonates a martyr and actually becomes a hero, while still being a scumbag. It's gritty, darkly funny, politically charged, and strangely moving. Unexpectedly, one of my favorite cover stories. 07 at that point.
The man who I have chosen to follow will surely be king of the pirates someday. I can't be intimidated by a mere emperor of the sea.
After his brief appearance in Karibu's story, Jinbei gets his own spotlight in The Solo Journey of Jinbei, Knight of the Sea. This one starts with chapter 751 and ends in the year 2015 with chapter 785, making this a total 28 chapters and no anime adaptation. It starts after he left Karibu and is set between this events and Whole Cake Island. A lost sea kitten appears, and for sure he helps it and takes it to sort of a sheriff? A sea dog officer who knows that the sea kitten happens to live in his town. And look how happy Jinbei is. Isn't he adorable? But then, the town is gone? How did that happen? The sea kitten is so sad. When they spot a sinking ship above them, Jinbei, the goat that he is, helps the crew. They talk about something terrible that's in the newspaper. He's reading about the Luffy and Law Alliance, which got published after Dressrosa. But that's not what they meant. It's another article about a mob of sea beasts rampaging in Port Town. Jinbei travels to that town with the kitten, which recognizes the random ruins that are atop of the port. They are its hometown. The townspeople tell him that the ruins destroyed their town, the creatures wrecked the ships, and the offerings disappeared. Jinbei sees a large amount of offerings for the sea god missing. Suddenly, another ruin just fell out of the sky. He could see a shadow vanishing into the depths, so he deep dives as well. He can locate the offerings next to a huge shadow. It's the giant monk Wadatsumi, who says, "No need to thank me?" We get a mini flashback from him, revealing that after getting beaten up by the Straw Hats and exiled from Fishman Island, he found the offerings the people left for the sea beasts and helped himself to them. Out of gratitude, Wadatsumi starts picking up the undersea ruins and throwing them into the port town, believing that the houses rightfully belong to them. Jinbei lectures Wadatsumi, which results in him regretting and crying. After that, we get to know that the sea beasts thought the humans stole their ruins and started attacking them. It was all just a huge misunderstanding. The next panel is full of apologies in the reunion of the sea cats. The villagers then randomly found the poneglyph that Jinbei then took to Big Mom. That's crazy! The ruins then were put down right next to the port, and the sea beasts help out as ships for the citizens. What happens after such events? A party for sure. The last panels are Wadatsumi joining Jinbei, and leaving the newfound neighbors with a new drip and some gifts. This story is a perfect blend of what makes Jinbei great: leadership, calm mediation, and fishman-human partnership. Again, it's so crazy that things like that happen in cover stories. Many actually don't read them, or anime-onlys never get to know this.
Well, Beck, it's time. I think we're ready to go for it. The One Piece.
This is the second from the Dex storyline, and like the first, it's a world update. But this time, it's focused specifically on how the world reacts to Luffy and Law's alliance, and especially to Luffy's new 500 million berry bounty after Dressrosa. So I hope this won't take that long as the other one. Published from chapter 805 to 838, it ran for 25 chapters in total, ending in the year 2016. And its events are actually occurring at the same time as in the current story. For example, the scene on Fishman Island occurs after the Reverie announcement, several chapters after Shirahoshi had been seen in preparation for the event. The cover story starts with the Kus having Surome in the back. In Windmill Village, the Dadan family is partying at Makino's bar, and one kid wears a replica of Sabo's head. In Shimotsuki Village, the students are imitating Zoro, and his old classmates are happy to see his wanted poster. Koshiro, of course, is upset. The former Usopp pirates are happy, but crying when seeing Usopp's wanted poster. Kaya is there as well. The chefs at Baratier are happy about Sanji's poster, but Zeph is curious as well because of the only alive on his poster. Kokoyashi Village. Nojiko watches Genzo complain about the decency of Nami's new wanted poster photo, even though he has placed a giant print of the photo in his office himself. Laboom and Crocus are happy about the news at Twin Cape. Korea and Dalton are happy as well, and the soldiers have new helmets, imitating Chopper's antlers. Vivi is chilling at Alabasta, while Karoo clips out the pictures of the Straw Hats. At Water 7, the Galea and former Frankie family members are shocked about Frankie's new appearance, while the Square Sisters, Kokoro, Chimney and Gombe are amused. On Baltigo, Sabo is putting on a huge smile. Koala is happy about the news as well, while Dragon, as always, does nothing at all. On Karakuri Island, everyone is happy as well. One lion looks like the Sunny. Chopper's people are happy as well. There's a giant bag with Chopper's medication printed on it. At Sabaody Park, Brooks' management for sure is angry about this news, but to be honest, his black Soul King poster is so damn cool. Heracles reads news of Usopp while flying aboard a giant beetle. The old scientists on Weatheria got new drip, and dude, Haridas has Riz, look at him. Mihawk and my girl Perona read the news while eating and wearing straw hats, as well as the baboons. King of Queens Eva and the others are preparing for some event. No reaction of the news, but never mind. On Fishman Island, the straw hat is becoming the hero hat, and every kid is wearing them. During a gambling session on Sabaody, Rayleigh reads a newspaper. Margarite shows Luffy's new wanted poster to the beasts on Ruzukaina, where he was training during the time skip. The beasts are all crying out of joy. And for sure, Boa Hancock hung a huge version of Luffy's wanted poster on her castle. We see Kuzan on a certain island reading the newspaper. The last two pictures are the Red Hair Pirates on a certain ruined island, being happy about the news, ending the series with Shanks holding the newspaper up to the sky, looking happy, while attending a wedding on this ruined island.
Mr. Luffy, I'll raise this sake cup and offer up an oath along with it.
Huh? An oath?
All right, here goes.
The next cover pages have the stories of the self-proclaimed Straw Hat Grand Fleet, and it's set exactly after the Bato Club dropped off the Straw Hats at Zoo, and before the Reverie, where we see the Tontattas again. There are 46 chapters from 864 to 919 in 2018. Several arcs of the stories have been adapted in the anime. Yes, you've heard right. This, again, very long cover story is split into various arcs, which we now get into it, starting with the beautiful pirates and Cavendish telling about his past. He's so beautiful and popular, not a single woman is getting married. The arc ends with him explaining why he had to tell all this, because the ships that are following them are now enemies and they should not shoot at them. In Bato's arc, they invade and burn down a village at Gartel Island just to sell Straw Hat merch, until the citizens tell them the Red Hair Pirates protect this island. Bartholomew then burns down Shanks' flag and puts up Luffy's. Clever idea, dude, but once again, this is an event that will be important later on, told in a cover story. Don Sai sets sail with the Hapo army and visits his fiancée Uholisa and ends the engagement. For sure she punched him down and her father is angry as well. We then see Uholisa in her own harem, the husband club, saying he would be her 26th husband. Big Mom had 43, but is older than Uholisa. Way to go, girl! Never mind, the last chapter for Sai is his marriage with Baby 5. Idio's story begins with the alliance, which was called the XXX Gym Martial Arts Alliance, including Blue Gilly, Abdullah and Jeet. They happen to join a fight between two ships, which turned out to be a 1,000-year-old quarrel between Long Arm and Long Leg tribe. They fight both and crash on a deserted island. With undamaged parts, they build a new ship, sailing off and telling the two tribes to either work together or die. After that, they call themselves the Ideo Pirate Crew now. Leo as well declares they are pirates now, having Rebecca and Viola craft new outfits for them. Presenting themselves now, the citizens are all happy for their help, and in return receive a present from Dressrosa, a new ship with Usopp as figurehead. After that, they got hired as the security for the Reverie, which we will see in the future as well. Hyruddin's arc starts by quitting at Buggy's delivery and just introducing the new members, which we actually just got in the manga, which again is so cool. We for sure got Hyruddin, Stanzen, Rodo from the beginning of the Alban arc, Goldberg and Gerd. That's crazy! If you watch this video in the future, we are on Alban at this moment. That's so cool to see them here for the first time. Now we get to the real fleet. Orlumbus sails the seas and resigns from his current position at the Standing Kingdom. He starts his day at 6 AM by folding his pajamas. 10 AM, he and Columbus are checking on the clean job of the crew. By the way, I don't know who exactly this Columbus girl is. She's not his daughter, from what I know. She just has the same spirit as him. Another flashback tells us he stole the 56th ship fleet from the kingdom, while he salutes with tears and the king is angry at him. For sure, to be fair. At 3 PM, he's planning upcoming pirate activities. 4 PM, first pirating campaign is attacking, but turns out they were poorer than expected, so they are distributing supplies. After failing his debut as pirate, they sail off and end this arc. The last arc is a bonus story at the village of Dyed Goods and familiar flags up there. Turns out we are here with Bellamy, who quit pirating and now wants to become a master dyer. He's designing a new Jolly Roger. The last 2 pages are the Straw Hat fleet officially introducing themselves. Not deep diving into theory content, but where was the fleet while Luffy literally died at Wano? Never mind. Let's get to...
Now the rest of this rides on Straw Hat. If he tries anything funny, we'll bop him too.
Gang Badge's Oh My Family has 37 chapters, starting with chapter 948 and ends with 994 in 2020. We're getting close, guys. No anime adaptation for sure. It's set round about the Reverie. Starting with a successful escape, Chiffon wants to reunite with her sister Lola, giving us the life lesson we all have to follow. What my wife wants, I want. A true gentleman of the old arts. So they set course to Thriller Bug after they seized an enemy ship. But due to high security during the Reverie, they can't get past the red line and stop on a certain island for food, where a random man addressed Chiffon as Lola. The man tells them about Dressrosa and everyone is hella excited, so they enter Dressrosa, which is scarred by the events of the previous arc. While looking out for Lola, we see the new statues of Luffy and Usopp. Badge's crew find damaged Navy soldiers with kisses. Turns out they have been knocked out from Queen, the one that has been kissed by Frankie. The germ pirates are attacking the kingdom because Rico is at the Reverie. They are the reason for the kiss attacks because they use kiss germs. I don't know what Oda was cooking there, but Badgie and his crew easily take them down. During that time, Chiffon is being arrested by Prince, who later makes his official appearance at Hachinozo. Gotti runs after them, but has no chance against Prince. Badgie and Vito are being attacked by kisses? Gotti is running and counterattacking the Marines, resulting in him actually saving Chiffon. And she kisses him? She thanks him whoever he is? For sure it wasn't Chiffon, but Lola all the time, and the sisters finally reunite. The Risky brothers from Thriller Bug show up and thank them for saving Lola. Cutting to the Tontattas, they find a ship from Whole Cake Island. Lola then demands Gotti to marry her, but got attacked by the Navy. This panel is pure gold. At the port, they run into the Tontattas and Pound, who finally sees his daughters for the first time. So they make a quick escape, leaving Pound behind, who then jumps into the sea and proves his fatherhood to them. They believe him and together pull him up the ship where he can finally hug his daughters for the first time in 26 years. Actually, heart-wrenching story, man. Ending this cover page story with the wedding of Gotti and Lola, while the Navy shoots at them. By the way, there are many weddings in this cover stories. Shanks is attending one, Hachan planned a proposal, Warpole has a wife now, Don Sai had a wedding, and now Gotti and Lola. With that, let's get back on Whole Cake Island with...
And so begins a new era for the Vinsmoke family.
Germa 66, an emotionless excursion, has 33 chapters from 1035 to 1078, ending in 2023, having actually 2 anime episodes adapting a part of the story, which we will get to. The story can be set during the events of the Reverie and the Wano arc, as Gamma 66 is shown escaping Totoland and Big Mom had already departed for Wano Country. So this story starts with their escape from Whole Cake Island. We see Judge, Reiju and Ichiji, while Niji and Yonji are held captive on Cacao Island. The two think about Big Mom's power, which is beyond the power of science, and Pudding punches them for bullying Sanji. The brothers are being transported to Whole Cake Island, and we see Brûlé again. Arriving at their lab, we get to know Big Mom is heading to Wano, and they now start experimenting on the brothers. 2 unknown intruders are in Chocolate Town, Pudding's home. Brûlé talks to Cracker, thinking it's the Jammer trying to get the brothers back. The books in the lab burned up, and the brothers are free. Ichiji and Reiju show up, and the family is complete again, now escaping for real. While they are going through the ruins, they walk past Caesar Clown, who suddenly got attacked by Oven and Katakuri. Damn, I miss him so much. Caesar uses poison gas, and begs the wind smokes to help him escape. Using hallucination gas results in Katakuri and Oven hitting each other. The Germa and Caesar escape. Meanwhile on Cacao Island, everything is frozen. Brûlé is crying while Cracker is out of action. Pudding has been abducted, which we see in the next chapter with Kuzan and Augur from the Blackbeard Pirates, which is so cool because we actually see the result of that kidnapping in the exact same chapter. Absolute cinema. Cutting back to Germa, who returned with Caesar, who instantly clashes with Judgy, talking about Mats, the group to which they belonged, with Queen and Stussy, being led by Vegapunk. Mats was sponsored by the Lone Shark King Dufeld. The next panel shows us the young Mats group, and this goes hard AF. But instead of creating something for peace, Caesar, Queen and Judgy have been mass producing weapons of slaughter, while Vegapunk won the Nobel Peace Prize for flowers that bloom out of gunpowder. Flower power, man. Just saying that Vegapunk created the pacifistas who killed how many people? Never mind. The three men are bitter rivals in the war to be the number 2, while Vegapunk meets the 5 elders. Back to present Caesar and Judgy, who think that the real problem is Vegapunk, so they are forming Neo-Mats, ending this cover story without being labeled as such. Cool story with the former Mats members, and as I said, the chapter with Pudding reappearing in the same chapter was wild back then.
Pretty sure you told me you were Kaido's son a second ago.
Kozuki Odin was a man, wasn't he? So I chose to become a man too.
This brings us to the most recent cover page story with Only Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. What a title. Total chapters are 44, starting with 1109 and ended this year with chapter 1162. It's set directly after the Wano arc and opens with Onigashima sinking to the ground, where old Wano lies. Yamato then tells Momonosuke that he wants to travel through Wano, like Odin did. Before Yamato leaves, Kinemon gives him an unknown parting gift, and in exchange, he tasks Yamato with performing a surrogate pilgrimage to deliver Yasui's sword to the Enma Shrine in Hakumai, which Yamato for sure accepts. Hiri and Otama are packing him a bento box. It's so good to see Otama smile. Otsuru gives Yamato medicine and dumplings. This kinda looks like a devil fruit, to be honest. Before leaving the flower capital, he says goodbye to Nekomamushi and Hyogoro. Yamato starts the journey by eating the bento and arrives at Kibi, where kids throw rocks at him because they associate him with Kaido. But Denjiro, the new daimyo, appears and disciplines them by eating Odin with Yamato, resulting in them all having a good time. On the road, Yamato helps a woman from getting abducted. In Kuri, Odin's castle is being rebuilt, but the foreman Minamoto disappeared, the one who Frankie was with at the beginning of the Wano arc, as well as the girls from the soba shop have gone missing. Yamato then talks to Inuarashi, who is the daimyo of Kuri now, and he's worried about those many kidnappings. At Amigasa village, he visits Tama and Shinobu during their training, but later, while they nap, Yasui's sword has been taken by an unknown person. They ran after it, with Speed being there as well. Arriving at Udon Castle, which is undergoing some reconstruction, Hold'em attacks and once again takes Tama hostage. But this time she was actually able to defend herself against him and take him hostage. They find a mysterious base with the face of Who's Who on the building, which they infiltrate, revealing Who's Who's living the best life, with the sword in his possession, and multiple geishas who've been kidnapped. His underlings then drop 2 silhouettes in front of Who's Who, claiming that they've rebelled against him, and Who's Who draws Yasui's sword while his men cheer him up. The 2 rebels are Ulti and Page 1, and Who's Who is having fun with Ulti, while Page 1 is laying on the floor, chained and threatened to be killed. Yamato attacks Who's Who with an attack that Kaido did as well. The panels are looking identical. He gets Yasui's sword back while Tama frees Minamoto and the missing woman. Ulti and Page 1 are back together. And by the way, did you know their father was Hanafuda, a former warlord who was defeated by Ace and the missing position that Kuma then filled? One Piece is so crazy, I tell ya. Never mind. Ulti is so grateful for what Yamato did that they follow him everywhere forever. After that, they meet up with Raizo, who's the daimyo of Udon now. Next stop is Hakomai to deliver an Amigasa head from Otama to Kawamatsu. Finally arriving at Enma Shrine, Yasui's sword is enshrined and the pilgrimage is complete. Yamato easily wins the local sumo tournament and the trio delivers the head to Kawamatsu, daimyo of Hakomai. Afterwards they travel to Ringo, where Yamato is welcomed with open arms by its new daimyo, Kiko, while Yakuza boss Ocho observes. They visit a mysterious grave of a hero born in the West Blue and brought up in Ringo. It's said he died protecting the village from Kaido, but there's no actual body of him left. The next cover page reveals the name of the Spirit of Justice. Kozuki Moriya? What's going on? But it's actually making sense. He fought against Kaido on Wano during Oden's time, and it's said during this time Ryuma's graph was ransacked, but what if he took it to protect his body and the sword from Kaido? It's still pretty random, but I love that those cover page stories are getting the attention they deserve from time to time. The group heads back to the Flower Capital. After 42 cover pages, Yamato is finally back at the Flower Capital, and we see a hall in the center where Oden and his comrades are enshrined, which we see in the next one with lanterns having the names of the fallen on them, which are Oden, having a big one in the middle, Kozuki Toki, Shimotsuki Yasui, Usugi Tempura, Fugetsu Omusubi, Shimotsuki Ushimaru, Taka, Izo, Pedro, an unidentified Kurosomi member, Ashura Doji, someone called Mar, and 3 more unidentified names as the lanterns are being blocked by Yamato and a Sakura petal. Finally ending this cover story with Yamato, Momo, Kinemon and Ulti walking around the city with the caption, "To Sir Luffy, another peaceful day passes in Wano," maybe hinting that Yamato can finally join the Straw Hats. Wow, I actually did not know that it would take that long to recap all cover page stories, but here you see how much content there is. I hope you enjoyed my video, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.